sharing a hotel room with my stepson led to an unforgettable experience, a true tale of betrayal. That evening, nestled in the cozy hotel room with Ethan, I come to understand that the surprises life throws your way are truly unpredictable. Even then, I felt the same unease as my husband. Nathan found himself in a distant city, immersed in the vibrant tapestry of life for several months. I missed him, without a doubt, yet it wasn't entirely fair. His absence spoke volumes. It was his negligence, his disinterest, that lay at the heart of the true issue. Though the evenings were steeped in solitude, they gnawed at the very essence of my being. How could I have foreseen that asking my stepson Ethan to take me to your dad would lead to such a twist? In a quaint hotel room, adorned with a single bed, the unfolding events danced just beyond my grasp. Let me take you on a journey, weaving together every intricate detail from the very start. I assure you, the ending of this tale will be just more captivating than you could ever envision. As I prepared to step out that morning, I cast a fleeting look in the mirror. I felt a wave of tension, yet I still managed to look fantastic. Even with Nathan departing from Salone, I continued to feel a spark of allure, a pulse of vitality, yet even those feelings had lost their power over me. They fell short of expectations. Nathan was savoring his breakfast in the kitchen when I called out from behind, "I know you're heading off to college at the end of this summer, but you still need to work on your driving. Come on. Let me join the adventure as well." Your dad, he gazed up at me with that same playful grin, a spark of mischief dancing in his eyes. On his face, he always wore a grin that hinted at mischief. Ethan was a nice kid with a quirky, hilarious side, yet he could be such a little rascal at times. "All right, fine, stepmom," he said with a teasing grin. "But only if you get dad to buy me a nicer automobile for the summer. Then we can talk." Yet I replied forcefully, guiding him inside. Though my mind was simply racing with thoughts of wanting to get this journey over with, unaware of what lay ahead. The journey was already veering off course, as we had been on the road for nearly 2 hours. In the back seat, I found myself lost in the glow of my phone, while Ethan filled the air with his voice, belting out an unusual tune from the radio. Every now and then, he would toss out a silly remark that sent him into fits of laughter. Suddenly, the automobile let out a dreadful hiss, and just like that, it came to a halt. "What's happening?" I inquired, striving to mask the unease creeping in, I suppose. As the car sputtered to a halt, Ethan let out a frustrated murmur, guiding us to the roadside. We found ourselves ensnared in the desolate expanse of nowhere, the anger radiating from him palpable. My phone struggled to find a signal, and the emptiness around us felt all-consuming, with no soul in sight. In our quest to assist, we dedicated 2 hours to battling the issue, reaching out to every technician we could find, and striving to mend the troublesome device. At last, we came to terms with the inevitable. Our only option was to settle in for the night at the nearest hotel, while Ethan engaged in conversation at the motel reception. Beside the desk, a figure sits. I lingered in the shadows, frustration bubbling within me. If Nathan catches wind of this, chaos will surely ensue. In that fleeting moment, I pondered, yet strangely, it seemed to hold little significance. Deep down, I felt an undeniable certainty that tonight would change everything, before this narrative takes a turn into the unusual. Ensure you join my channel and make sure to activate those alerts. Believe me, you won't want to overlook this. As we journey through this tale, I hope to feel your encouragement in the comments and see those likes light up when we step into the room and unveil the threshold. All my expectations crashed and burned. The area was small, hardly big enough to spin around in, with one bed, one nightstand, and a weak flickering overhead light that made all seemed shrouded in gloom. The ceiling felt low, the AC barely managed to work, and the solitary window offered a view that mostly captured the parking lot. "This is it," I muttered in discontent as Ethan entered behind me, a chuckle escaping his lips. What did you anticipate? A luxurious 5-star hotel. We find ourselves here for just one night, a laid-back stepmom in tow. His playful tone in his speech, paired with that cheeky grin, only intensified my irritation. Yet, I found it difficult to completely despise Ethan's easygoing, relaxed demeanor. Surrounding him, though I never admit it, stirred something within me, a certain kind of an exhilarating experience. I found myself lost in the sweltering heat, a soft murmur escaping my lips as I gently caressed the back of my neck. It seems I find myself in dire need of a refreshing shower, lest I succumb to the overwhelming fatigue that threatens to take hold of me. Without a care in the world, Ethan replied, casually throwing himself onto the bed and lying flat on his back. Welcome to your realm, Sophia. Embrace it fully and make it your own. I looked at him for a moment. His slender yet fit physique combined with the gentle boyish charm of his features created a peculiar allure. Yet, I swiftly endeavored to cast the notion from my mind. He was Nathan's child after all, my stepson. I stepped into the bathroom and shut the door with a forceful bang, sealing myself away from the world outside. For a moment, I found myself lost in the depths of my reflection, staring into the mirror. My hair was stuck to my scalp, my skin glistening from the heat. Still, I found myself gazing. That familiar spark igniting as I turned on the shower. I allowed the water to flow freely, stepping beneath its cascade, hoping it would cleanse the knot of feelings swelling within me. Deep within, I reflect on my 47 years, realizing that Ethan has grown up. He's now 22, on the brink of starting college, and here we are. We find ourselves confined within the walls of this modest motel room for a handful of days, a notion that stirs both unease and a peculiar excitement within me, an emotion I struggle to articulate. Nathan floated into my thoughts. Nathan, I yearn to surprise you, I long to come and visit you too. Though I long for your presence, I find myself confined within these hotel walls, accompanied by your son, and I'm at a loss for how to navigate this moment. The steam from the shower enveloped the small bathroom, the warmth soothing my body while my thoughts whirled. Ethan's grin, his laid-back charm, ignited a spark of something unforeseen within me. As I stood beneath the cascading water, I was enveloped by an unexplainable sensation. A spark that hinted at possibilities yet to unfold, as if something profound was being cleansed away. Eventually, I made my way downstairs for supper, hoping to clear my mind and gather my thoughts. As I slipped into a simple, flowing outfit, it embraced me perfectly for the heat, offering a sense of ease that helped to dissolve the odd tightness I felt. The hotel restaurant, modest yet inviting, created a warm atmosphere that felt just right for the occasion. In this quaint little spot, I decided to indulge in a light lunch accompanied by a glass of wine, convinced it would aid in my quest for relief. The sun had dipped below the horizon, and the streetlights outside the motel began to twinkle, casting a gentle glow in the evening air. My mind wandered back to the room upstairs, where I couldn't help but ponder what Ethan might be up to at this very moment. Someone as restless and full of energy as he surely wasn't finding much enjoyment in the stillness. Trapped within the confines of a small room, I found myself increasingly agitated by his nonchalant demeanor. It was so effortless, so carefree, that it drove me to the brink of madness, especially when the last drop of my wine had vanished. With a lingering look at my dish, I ascended the stairs, each step purposeful and measured. As I neared the room, a profound stillness enveloped me. I pushed the door open, and the scene that awaited me took my breath away for a fleeting moment. Ethan had just stepped out of the shower, the steam still lingering in the air as he settled onto the bed, clad only in a robe. He was utterly exhausted, his robe hanging open slightly, revealing much of his form. A slender, athletic figure stood before me, his damp hair cascading over his forehead. A small grin playing on his lips, as if he were lost in a dream. My heart began to race. This was the last thing I expected to encounter. I lingered at the entrance, caught in a moment of uncertainty about what to do next. Inside me stirred a peculiar mix of emotions, discomfort mingled with an undeniable pull, and I found myself unable to look away from him. Sophia, what on earth are you doing? That's Nathan's son, I scolded myself internally, yet my gaze revealed Medran. Drawn to the part of his robe that had slipped. What I beheld stirred something warm within me, constrained by the smallness of the room. Only made matters worse, there wasn't another bed. It was either sleep close to him or spend the remainder of the night in a chair. In this heat, the very idea of a chair felt inconceivable. I moved inside the room, careful not to disturb Ethan, whose steady, regular breathing filled the space. I took a long breath, attempting to focus, but the chaos within me made it difficult. It was a challenge to gather my thoughts. But I had to pull myself together. All right, Sophia, I whispered to myself, it's just one night, nothing more. This doesn't mean anything. I had planned to surprise Nathan, yet here I was. Caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Be sensible, keep it together, I reminded myself as I took a few steps closer to the bed. There was Ethan. His innocent smile only complicating my already tangled thoughts even further. Difficult, I settled onto the edge of the bed, pondering how I would navigate the night ahead. In the stillness, a faint sound stirred me from my slumber. With heavy eyelids, I cracked them open just enough to scan the room. There was Ethan, shifting restlessly on the bed, looking half asleep. His movements slow and deliberate. With his hands running through his hair, and a gentle scratch at his head, I found myself captivated by him. I kept my eyes just slightly open. Feigning tiredness inside, though a whirlwind of emotions swirled within me, tranquility, anxiety, and then the undeniable realization that his gaze was fixed on me. My heart began to race as I sensed his observation, and I struggled to uphold the act, maintaining that drowsy expression on my face. And staying still, yet within me, a symphony of thoughts danced. As I slowly unhooked the belt of his robe. With a gentle looseness, the fabric slipped from his shoulders, revealing the sculpted lines of his youthful physique. The subtle twitch of his muscles with each movement ignited a warmth within me. In that moment, I realized two undeniable truths. I was powerless to halt what was unfolding. And a part of me relished the thrill of it. Ethan rummaged through the wardrobe for a pair of shorts, glancing back at me, as if seeking a connection in the unfolding scene. As he tried to determine if I was truly awake, his glances ignited a deeper eagerness within me. I fought to keep my composure, yet I surrendered to the moment completely. After he slipped into his shorts, he chose not to return to bed. Instead, he settled into the chair in the corner, his gaze fixed upon me. Being watched so intently stirred something indescribable within, a mix of unease and intrigue. I kept my eyes closed, feigning sleep, but how long could I truly maintain this facade? Finally, I reached my limit and sat up. When my eyes met Ethan's, I ensured my voice trembled as I said, "You're making me so thrilled, Ethan." I could feel the words linger in the air, and in that moment, I understood that nothing would ever be the same again. Ethan's eyes flickered for a brief second, then he inhaled deeply and began to speak. "I don't know, Sophia," he replied. His voice low yet steady. "We've been living under the same roof for a while now, ever since my dad's been away. The more time we spend together, the more I feel for you. You might not realize it, but sometimes I can't hide the..." In this moment, an overwhelming adoration envelopes me, as if I've stepped into a dream. His unexpected remarks caught me off guard, igniting a spark deep within. Ethan's gaze remained steadfast, his eyes locked onto mine with a raw honesty and intensity that left me utterly captivated. "I need to get up early to fix the vehicle," he said, though his voice hinted at a struggle to convince himself. Yet, his eyes betrayed no uncertainty, unwavering in their focus. "But right now, I can't take my eyes off you, Sophia. I've never felt this way before." My heart raced in that instant as I moved to the edge of the bed, settling into the chair directly across from him, my gaze unwavering. As we settled into the moment, the energy between us crackled with an intensity that rendered words unnecessary. We lingered in silence for a while, before I gently pursed my lips and fixed my gaze upon him. "Ethan," I murmured softly, my voice a delicate blend of curiosity and challenge, "are we talking about the same thing?" Ethan's gaze deepened, as if he wished to savor this moment, immersing himself in feelings that transcended mere words. He remained silent. Yet the emotions reflected in his eyes conveyed everything. In that instant, I realized there was no turning back for us. A spark of boldness flickered in his gaze, and within me surged a tumult of doubt and excitement. His eyes urged me onward. Taking a deep breath, I gathered my thoughts and spoke again, my voice steady and calm, but forceful. Ethan, I murmured, grabbing his complete attention. "When I came into the room, you were asleep, your robe was a bit open, and I couldn't take my eyes off you. It got to a tone more than I thought. We can't run from these sentiments, we both know that." As memories hung in the air, I took a step forward and slowly stood up. His gaze followed my every move, his respiration increasing. I couldn't hold back the exhilaration rushing through me. My fingers moved for the ribbon on my dress, and as I carefully undid it, I could hear the shift in his respiration with every motion I made. "I guess, I." In a hushed tone, I whispered, "We need to level things out, Astrid." As I carefully unzipped the back of my dress, the fabric slipped from my shoulders, cascading to the floor. The cool air brushed against my skin, intensifying the fire within me. The look in his eyes spoke volumes: surprise, adoration, an irresistible pull. The stillness between us felt like a connection, our breaths intertwining as we held each other's gaze. I took another step closer, my voice barely above a whisper. "We'll see whether we're actually talking about the same thing." Ethan's eyes remained locked on mine, his emotions a storm of fury. Suddenly, he stood up, never breaking his focus on me, and turned on the room light. The warm glow enveloped us as he stepped over and shut the door. My heart began to race, and in that instant, it felt as if time itself had come to a standstill, leaving just the two of us in a world of our own. As he took a step toward me, my breath quickened. He seemed to be trying to decipher the emotions in my eyes. Yet he was acutely aware of the unspoken connection drawing us together. With each step closer, his hands found their way to my waist, and the warmth of his touch surged through me like a current of electricity. Without a single word exchanged, he leaned in, his gaze fixed on my lips. I didn't resist, I couldn't. Everything about this felt destined, as if it was meant to unfold this way. When his lips finally met mine, all the tension within me melted away, as the world around us faded. His kiss was a gentle exploration, yet it carried a palpable intensity. My hands instinctively reached for his shoulders, feeling their strength and warmth envelop me. The space between us vanished, our breaths intertwining, creating a moment that erupted with all the unspoken emotions we had harbored. Ethan's freshness and vigor collided with the deep passion I had nurtured over the years. It marked the beginning of something both thrilling and daunting. That night, there was no hiding our feelings for one another any longer. I allowed myself to sink back into the bed, my body weary but my mind racing. My breath remained unsteady as my foot brushed against the fabric of my garment on the floor, and I could feel Ethan's gaze upon me. With a strong and calm intensity, he held my gaze for a moment before bending down to scoop up the garment. His fingertips brushed delicately over the spot where my foot had rested, igniting a fire within me. For a fleeting second, I caught a glimpse of hesitation on his face, but it was quickly replaced by a determined resolve. He tossed the clothing aside, and his hand slid slowly to the edge of the bed. Crawling onto the mattress with meticulous and deliberate movements, he inched closer to me. The expression on his face mirrored his feelings, a blend of eagerness and magnetic desire, as I lay on the opposite side of the bed. As I lay there, I felt Ethan's presence drawing near, my heart raced and my breath quickened. Watching him lean closer, I realized the distance between us had all but vanished. It was as if everything had reached a pivotal moment, with no way to retreat. The emotions swirling within him were overwhelming, they brought both pain and joy. I glanced up at the ceiling, catching a glimpse of Ethan's face. I was captivated by the way he brushed his forehead with his hand. In his eyes, I could see the whirlwind of feelings he was experiencing. He was flushed, exhilarated, and filled with pure happiness, pouring his heart into every moment. With a spark of enthusiasm, I found myself captivated by Ethan's breathless urgency. He had swept me into a whirlwind of emotions, leaving me surprisingly delighted by the breakdown of the automobile. The hotel would forever be etched in my memory. Ethan's voice, laden with effort, pushed each word out like a heavy sigh. His gaze locked onto me. I noticed the slight tremor in his hands and the rigidity of his body, muscles taut, as if he were trying to preserve a moment in time. I absolutely don't want my father to sell the automobile anymore, he declared, and after those weighty words, he allowed himself to collapse beside me, his eyes closing without a sound. Wordlessly, I waited for my breath to steady. Fatigue weighed heavily upon me, rendering me voiceless, my legs trembling uncontrollably. I couldn't even fathom how I had drifted into sleep. The next morning, Ethan arrived with a car, bringing news that we needed to pick up Nathan and head to the city where he was on his trip. A wave of sadness and confusion washed over me, yet beneath it all, excitement bubbled as I caught a glimpse of Ethan, his gaze, his movements, everything about him stirred something within me. The intricacies of the moment enveloped me, and I found myself lost between the questions swirling in my mind and the thrill coursing through my veins. One thing was certain, this journey would mark a turning point. If you've journeyed this far, I sense my tale has captivated you. Don't miss out on what's to come, hit the follow button, turn on alerts, and join us by leaving a comment. The tale unfolds. I eagerly anticipate your thoughts on this narrative.